to go from hourly to project-based billing. This is a question that comes up more often when folks are either just starting out and do have a coach or do have a boot camp that they're participating in to kind of guide them through the easiest way to avoid a lot of the hurdles you're going to start off with when you do it the hard way, like I did because I didn't have a coach. And also with people who have been in business and they've been doing hourly based billing and now they've learned project-based billing is so much better for a lot of reasons. Now I want to switch over to that, right? Which is a little rewriting of contracts, education of your current client base, and then how to have those conversations with future potential clients going forward. Here's the basic concept, okay? Now, I have an entire session that I teach on this, so I'm going to try to break this down real quick and dirty for you. Here's the concept. You need to identify what you want to make an hour. Okay, regardless of what that is, that's the first thing you need. How much do I want to make an hour? Then you have to evaluate what's the service I'm providing. How many hours does it take to provide that service? You cannot think about just the 1 hour you spoke with a client. You have to think about how much time did it take me to prepare for that call? Is there any follow-up after the call? Is there any additional work that you're doing, right? What is the total amount of time that you estimate it's going to take? And then you can come up with a rough estimate of pricing for a service, okay? Let's say that, we'll give you two examples here. Let's say you're doing grant research, and that's a service. There's a rough estimate of a specific amount of time it might take you to complete that, put the documents together you're going to provide, the consultation with the client after the fact to review it. So whatever that is, let's say you've decided it's going to cost $1,000, whatever. Perfect. It covers the amount of time that you anticipate the service is going to take, right? You don't have to break that down for the client and say, I feel like it's going to take me this many hours, 10 hours, and I'm charging you $100 an hour. You'd have to do that. You have a cost for the service, right? It's sort of like when you go to buy a phone. You don't go to Verizon and say, hey, so can you give me the breakdown of why this phone costs $850? How much did each component cost? How much did the labor cost to put it together? Blah, blah, blah. You don't ask that. You just say, this is how much it costs if you want to buy it, right? Then you get a little bit more complicated when you start talking about putting together a program for a client or putting together a contract for a client or something that involves multiple services, right? You might be saying, I'm going to provide grant consultations for this client. I'm going to do research throughout the contract period for this client as needed. And I'm going to write grants for this client, and you can be as specific or whatever as you want in your contract. We can talk about contracts later. But let's say that this is a 1-year contract. Maybe you've determined how many days are going to be in person, how much work is going to be done at home. So you can say, oh, this is how much my travel days cost. This is about how many hours I feel like I'm going to spend on each service. This is how many grants I anticipate writing. And this is about how many hours I feel like the total of those grants is going to take, whatever. Then you can come up with for the whole contract, I feel like it's going to be $20,000, right? And then this is a 1-year contract, so I'm going to divide that by 12 months, and that's how much my monthly fee is going to be, right? That is project-based billing, not hourly billing. You have based your project-based billing on hourly billing, but you're not giving the breakdown of that to your client, right? You know that if you fall within the parameters of what you projected, you're going to make the hourly fee that you are going for as a consultant. Sometimes I have clients that just want to have me on standby. Like, we want to have you on retainer for if we need you. We'd like 4 hours a month. Great. I know how much my hourly rate is, and I'm like, so it's going to be this much a month, whether you use it or not, because this is how much I want to make an hour, and that's how much it costs. Clients don't care. They're like, great. If we need you, we'll use it, and if we don't, that's fine too. And that became really easy for me a couple of years ago because I determined and was very comfortable with what I wanted to make an hour and how much my time is worth and the value that I deliver to clients based on that. So as you start thinking about billing, if you're brand new, I would highly encourage you not to do hourly based billing unless it makes sense for a product. Like when we do federal grant writing, we do hourly based billing because we know approximately how long we anticipate it's going to take. And we tell the client, we anticipate it's going to take 40 hours. We charge this much an hour. This is what your estimate's going to be. They pay 50% up front, And then we keep track of our hours. At the end, if we didn't use all 40 hours, we bill them for the remaining time we worked. And if we used 40 hours, we bill them for that. If we used more than 40 hours, we don't bill them more than 40 hours because that's what we anticipated that we would work, right? So it's really kind of a win-win for the client. But outside of consultations on demand and federal grant writing, that is the only thing that we do hourly billing for here at Funding for Good anymore. Everything else is project-based pricing or service-based pricing. Strategic planning has a flat rate plus travel. And it doesn't matter if we end up spending a few more hours with one client on some of those aspects or a few hours less. The price is the same because we've estimated it over a couple of years now, and we know approximately how long it takes us to do that between the two of us, and we know how much we want to be making an hour. So it works out that we bill things that way. So anyway, when you want to think about going from hourly to project-based pricing, those are some of the parameters you want to consider.